All right, November 20th, Wednesday, 2019. This is the video for Capricorn Ascendant, Capricorn Rising. You want to know where Mars and Uranus is in your chart. There is a great opposition occurring right now, and it's for the next 7 days, from the 21st to the 28th, depending if you have planets in those locations. And at those degrees, right now Mars is 0 degrees Scorpio and Uranus is like 3 degrees Taurus. You need to know what area in your life this is going to occur and how it's going to affect you, what to expect, so that when it occurs, you're like, okay, this is what she was talking about. I get it, and I know how to respond. Okay? This is important because Mars is the fighter. Mars is the soldier. Mars is, I can take multiple hits and keep going, and I'm going to keep coming after. Right? That's Mars. It's my passion, my desire, my will to never give up. Now, Uranus, on the other end, is explosive. It is sudden. It is surprises. Okay, that's Uranus. Where does this happen in your life? You're going to want to know for the next 7 days. This will be important to understand when shit goes down. Okay, I got it. I understood. This is that. All right? So this is All Astrology. I'm G. If you're new here, we do free subscriber readings for each subscriber. We give a high quality report, one-time personal reading to each subscriber. Comment your birth info below, we'll hook you up. If you've already been here before and you do not know what your ascendant or your rising sign is, because a lot of people, believe it or not, don't know this kind of information. Typically, when we say we know our sign, we're talking we know our sun sign. Okay, we don't normally, unless you've looked at your chart or have had a chart done and understand a little bit about astrology, you don't typically know what your rising sign is. Okay, like a chart I'm looking at right now, they're actually a Scorpio sun sign, but they happen to be a Capricorn rising. But when we talk about what our birth day is, the day of the birth, that is your sun sign. When we talk about our birth time of day, the time, that is your rising sign, and that is your physical life, and that is how we're able to do predictive readings based upon your birth time. Lots of people don't know what that is. Again, we have ways of figuring those things out. Comment your stuff down below. We'll work with you. We'll figure something out. There's ways to tweak it. There's ways to rectify. So with all that said, any questions, comment below. We'll work with you. Now let's move on for Capricorns. God, if I could count how many Capricorns have been chiming in, have been commenting, Capricorns and Leos, risings and ascendants have just been flooding with questions, flooding with, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I need help. Can you please give me some more information, some guidance to this and that? And those are the videos that are just like going off the charts. Thank you. This is awesome. So I feel strongly inclined that this is another powerful energetic cycle that should be addressed. Now, Mars, for Capricorn ascendants, Mars is taking place in Scorpio in your 11th house. Okay, so if you understand what your 11th house is about, then you get it. You understand what's going to be going on. Now, realize that Mars coming and having her, basically its birthday in your 11th house, lights up. This is the 11th house. Social circles, groups. It is the internet, okay? Social circles to the degree of who I mingle with in groups, okay? There's lots of ways that we can look at that. Go into a chat room, right? Lots of people go and they talk. This whole thing, YouTube, is the 11th house, right? 11th house is my hopes. It is what I wish for. 11th house is also our financial gains. It's the house of gains. So having Mars, having a birthday there, is a positive thing. It means you're going to be in a place where you're willing to go after, where you're going to seek out your tribe, where you're going to take action, where you're going, just remember Mars, action, action, action. It's where you're going to do. Okay, and so when we talk about the 11th house, you're going to go after your hopes and wishes and dreams. Okay, it's also the house of when we meet with other people, we are willing to do the work. We are willing to do what it takes. So how does this have anything to do with this great opposition right now? Understand that Mars being over here and Uranus being over here. So if we've got Mars up here, your Mars is in Scorpio in your 11th house, that means that in Taurus, which is where Uranus is at, it's in your 5th house. So your 5th house is all about your, how you have fun. It's how you have romantic fun. It's also the house of children. It's your creative house. Not just procreating, but creative projects, works of art, writing, publishing. This is the 5th house, okay? And you have Uranus there, and it's about what you value. So you would produce high quality work. As a Capricorn ascendant, Capricorn rising, producing high quality artistic works and appreciating artsy, theatrical, but things of high quality, because Taurus is in there, and Taurus is all about high quality. And it's beauty, things that are beautiful and peaceful, right? So your partner, people who you have, who are, you know, that you date or have, you know, you're romantically inclined towards, these are the qualities that they possess that you really like. There's just that thing about them where it's fun. There's this fun element to it, okay? And being physically active. So this would also be someone who could be super creative with food, very creative with food, because Taurus is about food and earthy matters, all things in tune with the earth, all right? So what does this mean? That means that we've got Mars over here and we've got Uranus here, okay? So Mars is in the 11th house. Also understand, 11th house is our friendships, okay? It's our friends, our groups of friends, okay? And being in the 5th house then, down here with Uranus and having surprises, and Mars being up here in friends, you see the connection. It's people, and there's also people, romantic people, groups of people. So there could be this tug of war. There could, not just tug of war, recognize that Mars is the soldier, and he's a soldier who is good with a knife. Mars also can represent a surgeon, all right, because it's about knives. Mars, this is a very cool connective action, because when we talk about Taurus in the 5th house, Taurus, if we talk about food, we talk about good with knives. We could talk about being a chef, right? Being good in the kitchen, okay? But Uranus is more right now about a surprise. And it's so surprising things happening as far as romance, as far as children, okay? As far as entertainment, and as far as taking risks. The 5th house is taking risks. So you might be inclined at this time to take a risk, okay? There might be a button that's pushed and you take a risk. Okay, because that's what's happening. We analyze Mars and we analyze Uranus and we analyze how they communicate, how they relate at this time. And to be honest with you, they are both this kind of I won't back down energy. You see, so it's kind of confrontational in a way. But more specifically, it's about people you're close with. So it's going to be your romantic partners and it's going to be your groups of friends. And it's going to be somebody in those areas of your life, your 5th and your 11th houses, where they're pushing buttons. But they're not new buttons. These are irritating things that they always press upon, okay? Irritating things. Things that, you know, it's like, you know, there's a certain thing they say or they do and it drives you nuts, okay? So in your groups of friends, this doesn't have to necessarily be people that you are super close with, but having the Scorpio energy there, it could definitely be friends that are more people that you connect with, maybe not constantly, but when you do connect with them, it's in a very deep, intimate way, because it's Scorpio energy. Scorpio is about bonded energy. It's we share our energy in a way, whether it's energetically or whether it is deeply emotionally bonded energy, because that's also Scorpio energy. So we somehow find this common bond, and there's this thing about us, like we may have nothing else in common in our life, but there's just this one thing we have, and it bonds us. It ties us together because we have this deep understanding with this person, okay? And at this time, these two, Mars and Uranus, opposing each other, Uranus sends its shock, its surprises down to the soldier and startles him, and it's almost like an attack in a way. The soldier is used to having to be defensive, and that's so Scorpio, being defensive and ready to fight. So you want to be aware about this. You don't want to hurt people that you love. You know what I mean? You don't want to, and I don't mean hurt like take a knife and stab them, but our words can be very cutting, right? Our words can be cutting. Sometimes it's just a matter of recognizing and acknowledging what the issue is, what the irritation is, because that's what it's going to be. It's going to be something that is known. It's a known irritant. It's something where you've always just been like, oh God, I can't stand when they do that. It drives me nuts. It just drives me crazy. And you maybe been able to have stayed quiet about it before, or maybe before you said things about it. But this is just another time when another button's being pressed, and you feel like, especially since the Uranus is down here, you just can't keep quiet. You have to say something. You have to yell something. You have to be very passionate and fire-driven, so to speak, where that's just super, it's powerful, it's potent, and it could be hurtful. And you don't want to be that way with someone that's a valuable thing in your life. I mean, typically, we're dealing with folks, they're another being, they're getting the same challenges that you're getting. Everywhere, everybody, every sign is receiving this same challenge somewhere in their life. So we're all facing this for the next 7 days. So it's a time where we want to be higher in our awareness, where we want to take our consciousness into our own hands and raise it up. We want to elevate. That's what this is about. That's why that's why I'm doing this reading now. That's why I'm giving this information and sharing it now. It's about an elevation of our own consciousness. And when you think about the other things that are occurring, it really opens up a window of opportunity, because we have Jupiter and we have Venus and we have the galactic center opening up at the same time on the 23rd and the 24th, this coming weekend. So once we have the ability to take our awareness, our consciousness into our own hands, and to decide we are going to elevate it. And it's as simple as holding ourselves accountable on how we think and communicate about another person, and watching our words, being aware of what it is, the repetitive thoughts that go on in our mind, and thinking things through before we communicate. Planning what we're going to say before that occurrence happens, like logically and rationally saying to myself, it's probably going to be this particular person because they always do this one thing, and it's actually lately really been getting on my nerves, and it's been starting to drive me crazy, which is normal right now. Mars is already at 0 degrees technically. Technically, it's already there, okay? Because it's like 29 degrees and 54 minutes or some stuff. And so technically, it's already there. And so when it's at that point, it's like you're already feeling it. You're already getting the sensations. You're already being impressed with this irritability. We're all being impressed with this irritability. So the idea around this is knowing this is the astrological weather, we can then plan better. Okay, we can plan better. We can make sure we've got our umbrella. We can make sure we've got our gloves and our hat and our scarves and our boots, things to protect us. So how do you do that in your life? How do you protect yourself when you're dealing with people that press your buttons? Some people say make sure you have plenty of buffers around, plenty of other people around to kind of, smooth out and balance the energy. Okay. Another thing is to possibly have, like I said, a line of communication set up. How am I going to communicate what's going on? How I feel when a person does this? How do I feel when you say this type of thing? Okay? How do I feel when you do that? It makes me feel this way. Drives me nuts. But how do you communicate it in a way where it's clear, where it's calm, where it's concise? So it's effective communicating. So we actually get something out of it. So it's productive, not about tearing somebody down, but it's productive. A lot of times when you say something to somebody and you're just straightforward and objective with it, a good response can simply be, I wasn't aware I did that. I wasn't aware of that. A lot of people aren't aware. And it's when their awareness, it's when someone shares and says, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but when you say this way, it sounds like this. And it feels like this, and it hurts me, right? It hurts me. So there's a big difference in saying something like that as opposed to responding, and lashing out somebody verbally, striking them with a sharp word and hurting them, inflicting pain on them, right? It's like, well, you stabbed me, I'm going to stab you back, right? And so whatever gets resolved then? Nothing gets resolved. So I'm going to stop talking about that. But again, that's the energy we're dealing with. So for you, if you are Capricorn rising, this is in your 5th house and your 11th house. It's about romance in the 5th house. It's about your children possibly expressing that energy and you expressing that way to them. That's the other thing about this. It all works on the same line of energy. So the energy just is. So you could project it or you could be receiving it. It could be incoming or it can be outgoing. All right? Keep in mind, energy is just like, think of it as a boomerang. What you put out comes right back to you. What you put out comes right back to you. So always take a moment to think before you speak, okay? Take a moment to think before you speak. Now, the energy that's coming up in the end of the month, like the 26th is the new moon energy. And that I'm going to do a separate video on for Capricorn ascendants, okay? So stay tuned, keep your ears close to the dial, make sure you've tapped the bell so you can get the update as to where, and not only where, but when to set your new moon intentions. Everyone who's in astrology knows that at this time, because of the galactic center lineup, the power to manifest is extremely favorable, all right? So stay close. Bye.